I think I speak for everybody when I say no one cares, they just want to know if you're running for president. You enjoy constant, non-stop criticism.
Enjoy is probably the wrong word.
Expect?
Expect, survive,
Sure.
Live through. It just sort of comes with the territory.
It does come with the territory.
Indeed.
So it sounds to me like, if I may, you've declared for president.
Well, she's not officially running for president, at least not yet, but 2016 was just about the only topic for Hillary last night in her appearance on The Daily Show. Now, the program, just the latest stop in Hillary's nonstop campaign, which was profiled and got a warning from a piece in the Times today. The warning that, quote, the only thing the tour is missing is the central element of a campaign, which is a vision. Okay, it was cute. She went on to say, he asked her, like, do you like rooms with squares or without those squares, or an oval one? She gave she played the game here and certainly fed it that, yeah, I know, wink, wink, I haven't announced, but this is all part of an obvious, and not a shock to anyone at the table. Okay, I know that. That said here, how much longer can she play this out? I know she can do it, technically, for a long time before she has to announce. That's not my question, but how long until it gets old? And then she's frustrating some folks here that she won't commit full time.
There's a real danger, I think, in being back in the public eye as much as she is and has been, without rallying people behind a campaign, without saying we need to do X, Y, and Z for the benefit of the country, and just sort of making it about herself and reminding people who she is and that she was this close to winning the Democratic nomination back in 2008. At some point, people have to get enthused about why she's running or what the mission is. You can boil down a presidential campaign to a couple of mission points, and we don't have anything from her yet.
Yep.
And she may be trying to find that point right now. She may be trying to figure out what to run on.
And it's a tough needle to thread here, in that you can't criticize the sitting president, right? You was your boss.
Oh, I think she can.
Well, she can, but I think it's a little dangerous. I mean, he's still got 2+ years. I mean, you know, there's time left in his administration, and it won't look right to a lot of Democrats that, hey, she's cutting out the legs of the guy who's still got to try and run the country. But on the flip side, if she doesn't say what she'd do different, what's the vision thing, like they said?
But Richard, what's the rush? Except for people like us,
no,
that we want it when we want it and how we want it.
I hear you.
She's not in any rush. She doesn't have to be in a rush, and it's wishful thinking on all of us and the national media.
Who are the most popular politicians that are around?
Hillary Clinton?
No, the ones that aren't in the spotlight, that have you, it's after they leave, you remember them only fondly. I mean, look at George Bush's numbers, for crying out loud.
That happens almost every president.
With everybody. But I remember Colin Powell, when they were trying to see if he'd run for president. Beloved. Then all of a sudden he gets back in the public eye, and then all of a sudden, you know, the slings and arrows start coming out here. Hillary could have laid low here for a while. I understand why she did the book and all that, to get this. She thinks out of the way. I don't think you can get it out of the way. I think the media is going to bring it up whenever they want. Benghazi's not going away just because she said, asked and answered. I think Andrew's right. I think at a certain point, if you choose to be in the public eye, the public's not going to let you decide the narrative from here on out. She's going to get pushed.
We're talking about the Clintons. The media is not going to drive the narrative with them. She's going to do this on her terms, no matter how much we complain about it. And, she's not going to do anything until after the midterm elections. So this two-step is going to continue for quite some time.
She's done a bunch of appearances in the last month after the book release. If she sort of cedes the public spotlight a little bit for the next month and then comes back with an appearance in Iowa, then everybody's buzzing about it again. And then, I mean, if she doles it out properly and doesn't overexpose herself, I think she can actually make this a big
Iowa,
benefit.
New Hampshire, it's funny you mentioned that. We'll talk about that and Mr. Christie in a minute. But first, we go to New York here and the race for governor there. And this week we got some numbers here, and they have to do with cold hard cash for the two campaigns. Republican Rob Astorino, he has just under $2.5 million to spend, which to some might sound impressive, but that is until you look at what his opponent, the incumbent governor, Andrew Cuomo, has. $35 million sitting in the bank here, largest campaign war chest of any governor in the nation, and I've heard here that number could go up in a big way if he wants it to right now. Now, there may be another story when it comes to Cuomo's cash, though, and it could also be where it's coming from. This is according to the New York Public Interest Research Group here in NYPIRG, and they say that Cuomo raised $2.7 million just from 9 donors. And that is more than Aston has raised altogether, and there's more here. Nyberg also said that 80% of Cuomo's cash here came from just donors who gave $10,000 or more, and that half his money comes from people who gave 40 grand or more. He's bundling big dollars here. The question is, how much does he want to spend on this? How much does he want to save on maybe something else? How much does he want to run up the score? But nobody's debating he's got the wherewithal to do it.
Well, fundraising numbers point to viability, how strong you are as a candidate. And it often points to who's going to win. Sometimes it's a different variable, but it normally points to who's going to win and who's going to lose. As I've been telling you for almost a year now, Rob Astorino will be governor one day, but it is not this time. He is not going to beat Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is going to spend almost every dime of that money because he has to run up the score and he has to be on the bench getting ready, praying that Hillary Clinton doesn't run for president so that he could throw his name in the hat.
But there's another point to this too, which is if 80% of your campaign contributions come from people who write $10,000 checks or more, I mean, most people don't write $10,000 checks. Most people write $10 checks or $20 checks or something like that. It's not exactly speaking of a groundswell of public support for Andrew Cuomo. This is not the kind of campaign that Barack Obama ran in 2008, where it seemed like it was a grassroots movement. This is very much an institutionalized movement. This is very much a corporate movement for Andrew Cuomo. So there may be hints of some weakness in terms of where his support is coming from, just because it's not that many people.
I hear you. I'd argue only, though, that there are a finite amount of people who are going to write those checks, even in New York. And you lock those people up, and that's where the attention's been right now. You not only are putting money in your own pocket, but you're keeping it out of the other guy's pocket. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that money is coming from institutional investors and stuff like that. So it's real money right now. And I think there's a method to it. This is never going to be, this was never going to be an Obama campaign of 2008 where they were sending in the $5 and $10 checks. I think he's going to demonize his opponent. He's going to define his opponent. We all know how this is going to play out. The question is, how's he going to do it? On which grounds? Is it social issues? Is it that he's going to get Republicans to support him vocally more than the other guy? It'll be fun to see how this all plays out. But I want to get to the other governor in this region, and that is Chris Christie. And who is exactly planning out strategy for the governor? Who's giving him advice? Now, Christie, he's heading off to Iowa tomorrow, site of the first 2016 presidential caucus. He's got a New Hampshire trip. In fact, I think a second one already on the agenda scheduled as well. At an event today, Christie again refused to answer questions when it came to national policies, and he explained why he won't until he announces if he in fact runs for president.
You should beware of people, in my opinion, who are over anxious to make that decision before they need to. That would, it seemed, indicate to me ambition before wisdom.
He says that, but at the same time, Christie's getting flack here for posting, then removing a YouTube video touting his plan for pension reform, and the thing looks like a Hollywood movie trailer.
How far would you go?
There is no other way to fix a severe problem like this but with pain.
Hang on to your seats.
Sounded a little politically ambitious to me, that spot. But anyway, the video was taken down after only a few hours yesterday because it may be tone deaf, not just the pensioners facing the cuts, but also because The Rock here, Dwayne Johnson, right? He didn't exactly give his permission to be in the spot. In fact, he was later cut out of the video. Now the video's back online. But this is all begging a few questions. First of all, the idea that the New Jersey public is in full support of what he's done with pensions is to misstate reality. And secondly, there was a 7-year deal they struck. The governor, in fact, bragged about the deal that they struck. Year 3 into it, he's deciding he's not going to fully fund it. I know the public doesn't hear all this stuff unless you're actually one of those folks whose pensions are going to be impacted, that you're not funding the thing. But this was not brave political courage what it did. It was going on back against the deal that he struck, which is not the Chris Christie, shoot straight and be honest with the whole, electorate that we hear so much about.
It was a very specific promise that he made that he was not going to underfund the pension fund in the state of New Jersey. Then when the money coming in, the revenue for the state wasn't what he projected it was, he went to court to asked permission to basically break the law, and the deal that he made, got a judge to sign off on it, vetoed a budget that didn't include it, and finally got the pension cuts that he wants. And that's on the back of public workers. We're talking about the LIRR strike, or a possibility of that. That's New Jersey transit workers, that's school teachers.
But at least that's negotiating at a table what it's going to be, pension contributions. He made a deal, he bragged about the deal, then goes against his own deal, and then does a Hollywood movie trailer about how much of a gutsy guy he is. Now this all on top, Dom, on what we talked about this show, about what he said after he vetoed legislation that he previously had supported on gun control. And when the Newtown families said, all we want is a meeting here to make our case that they had gotten everywhere else, he very harshly smacked them down here. At least certainly in my eyes, and I know you guys at the table thought he went overboard. We had a Newtown father who lost a son there who certainly feels that way. I don't get the strategy of it. I know we talked yesterday or earlier in the week that, hey, he's reaching out to a particular base. But at a certain point, you start checking off the boxes. Wait a minute. Ticking off Newtown parents? Okay, maybe in some red state that might make you popular. Going against your word here, forget that it's about the rank and file labor guys here. How does that make it work? And how does it make it work putting out that dopey ad? Right? I still can't understand what the fighter jets and the helicopters have to do with it. But anyway, my point is, I don't know where this strategy is coming from because it doesn't make sense to me.
Let me try it this way. The families in Newtown, the ones that lost their children and so on, they are Christie's sister soldier moment for what sister soldier was to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton used her to look tough on his way to the White House. That's exactly what Christie is doing. He's used those families.
But it was popular going against what Sister Soldier said.
But
I
it's
remember
popular.
that vividly.
But Richard,
it's not popular going against Newtown
Yes,
families?
it is. Outside this region, it's very popular. I stood up to them. Yes, they lost their children.
You buy what he's selling?
I think it appeals to a lot of the voters in Republican primaries in places like Iowa and South Carolina and early voting Republican primary states in the race for president. Christie's got another problem, too, that we haven't touched on, which is none of his competitors or his would-be competitors are on him at all at this point. He's basically been a forgotten man for the last couple of months.
But just one quick thing, Andrew. We all know very well that he branded himself, not just when he welcomed the president to Jersey, to the shore after Hurricane Sandy, but he's made a point that he is so sick of the dysfunction in Washington and the demonizing of the other side. He's doing that himself right now. He's going against his own playbook. And before we run out of time, tell people about why this isn't his biggest problem. What's going on right now on the calendar, and maybe before the end of the summer in New Jersey, relating obviously to Bridgegate.
Well, we've done reports from Trenton where we have the legislative committee that's looking into Bridgegate. They have another hearing tomorrow, and then they're suspending their hearings for the rest of the summer. And it wasn't that they're out of ammunition or that they just decided to go easy because nobody's watching. The U.S. Attorney in New Jersey, Paul Fishman, asked them not to continue with the hearings because he wants to depose the people who are going to be called. So that investigation appears to be advancing. We may very well get, if not more than testimony, indictments or actual criminal action by the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey. That might be the worst case scenario.
And that could be as early as the fall.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you all very much here. When we come back, I'm going to bring on the legal panel, and among the subjects we're going to get into, Citigroup getting ready to pony up here after ripping off homeowners across the country. But the question is, does the punishment really fit the crime? Our legal team will join in on that after this break.